Hi there, my name is Godfrey. I'm the Director of Banking and Finance at MHA. In our latest series of Ask the Expert, we're focused on support for our clients looking to export products and services with the support of external support agencies. I'm delighted to invite Johanna Archer from UKEF Finance.
Really happy to be here.
So the current import and export sector generates £1.8 trillion up until June 2025, which has seen a 3% year-on-year increase since 2022, despite there being a decrease in the total exposure of 1.9 million from May to June 2025. So obviously having Joe here today, it's a great opportunity to talk about UK Export Finance, how they operate, and how they can support our clients. So Joe, do you mind telling me a little bit about UK Export Finance?
Yeah, sure. It's a great opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about what we do because we are quite unknown to a lot of people. So UK Export Finance is actually the export credit agency for the United Kingdom. Everybody, so the whole of Europe has its own export credit agency that acts in the interests of its exporting SMEs. So we are a government department. We partner with the Department of Business and Trade. And obviously we work across the whole of the collaboration of government departments like the National Wealth Fund,
Sure.
British Business Bank. So we connect with them on how we can assist businesses exporting overseas.
Okay, great. So with regards to assisting businesses exporting overseas, what type of clients do you normally look at or assist with?
We don't really have an average client, but we obviously can assist companies with all aspects of trade finance. So from working capital facilities to bonds. So if they have a requirement for advance payment guarantees with their bank, we can support them with things like that. So how we support them with the trade lines is we sit behind our banking partners with guarantees. So
Sure.
UK Export Finance guarantees up to 80% of a banking facility. So that's how we might be able to help them there by helping the bank sort of de-risk what they're lending. The other way that we can help people is if it's not a working capital need and they're more concerned about the risk. So let's say they've traded with somebody in Saudi for 12 months or so and got fairly good trading history. But the Saudis have said, well, actually, what can you do for us to make it so that we don't have to pay you up front? We'd like to have some credit terms. And maybe the exporter is a little bit concerned about actually doing that on open account trading. So they can actually approach UK Export Finance to put a credit insurance policy in place, which means that we can credit insure them up to 95% of the invoice value. And that just means it's just insuring them against the risk of not getting paid. So it's if it's just the situation like that, where it's not the cash flow that's the issue, it's more the credit risk that's the issue. And the other thing that we're probably seeing a lot more of at the moment is buyers overseas wanting to access UK finance because
Sure.
it's cheaper in lots of different territories than it necessarily is, that it's cheaper here. So we do look to support buyer loans that enables the purchase of UK goods and services. We recognise that traditionally we've done, £1 billion buyer loans, but we now work with partners where we can look at sort of £500,000 as a sort of smaller amount, which is quite good if you've got a company that's exporting bespoke machinery.
Sure.
So it might be, I think some examples would be, we've got a company in Turkey that wanted to buy a machine for 500,000. And we enabled them to do that by giving them a loan to pay the export, the SME in the UK. And it's great for the UK company because obviously it doesn't become their problem. They get paid for the machinery. So it gives them all the working capital that they need.
Sure.
Cash flow that they need.
So in a nutshell, we can say that the product and services you assist with gives, one, the client confidence and the banking's confidence as well, to allow them to maybe go out to a new market, where they may have their concerns regarding the cash flow, or like you mentioned, if they're buying these credit terms. So by UK Export Finance stepping in, you can obviously just give them a bit more confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose it's the difficult thing. Traditionally, if a bank is looking to use our guarantees, it could be for situations like you're a 2 million turnover business and your contract that you've just won in Argentina is for 2 million.
Sure.
So it's always the bank is going to be a little bit concerned about the sort of the really high growth opportunity that company's got. So in that scenario, they would probably look to accessing UK export finance guarantees to sort of help with that. But the great thing about the guarantees that we can provide is that they can help you all the way from paying suppliers all the way to getting paid at the other end.
Yeah, sure.
So there's, obviously with international trade, there's, much longer lead times and, paying suppliers. Sometimes if you're importing from China, they like to be paid straight away. So it doesn't really help you when you've then got to wait for everything to come here, make it, send it out again. So there's a way that we can, help people throughout that whole, that whole process.
Okay, great. And are you seeing like different trends with the clients with the territories that they're now trading with?
Yeah, it's interesting that because traditionally we wouldn't be seeing people asking us for credit insurance on places like the EU and the US. I think the difficulty for us is at the moment we still, because we're not allowed to compete with the private sector, we have to complement the private sector. I think that we've not been able to provide credit insurance policies in the EU or OECD rich countries like the US, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. But if it's over, if the period of the contract exceeds more than 2 years, then we can look at those territories. But we are definitely seeing an increase in how people manage their risk, how companies manage their risk in territories that we always thought were quite safe.
Sure.
But there's certainly lots of activity in the traditional sort of South America, the UAE, Africa, and there's all of those things we've got some really fantastic experience with. So in terms of credit insurance and working capital requirements.
Okay. So you mentioned Africa. Have UKEF Finance actually got links and relationships with providers and funders over that territory?
So that's an interesting one because there's a lot of project finance infrastructure work going on in Africa at the moment. And where we would come into that, because it's a really different angle to look at. So whilst we're helping SMEs with working capital, helping buyers to access finance, then we're also supporting big infrastructure projects overseas. And, we have representatives overseas. We've got 5 people in parts of Africa that identify the opportunities that we can actually then go out and get UK supply chain into it. So if the government wants to sit behind one of these projects, behind an EP and a contractor who is looking for finance, because they always are, because they're big projects, then we can sit behind it as a guarantor behind that facility. And when we do that, we do it on the proviso that we can, that the contractor has to use an element, it's normally about 30-40% UK content.
Okay.
So we are trying to drive those projects into our whole sort of database of knowledge about customers, exporters, what are we good at? What can we actually offer to this project? So it's about identifying that and trying to give those opportunities back to SMEs.
Sure. Okay. So with regards to, say, clients, are you seeing your demographic being, say, startups? Are they SMEs? Are they large corporate, or is it a blend?
Wow. Yeah, it's a real blend. I mean, we traditionally, I guess, on the short-term side, we wouldn't see the sort of bigger companies because the banks would always be quite happy just to lend to them without necessarily needing our support. But I think there's lots of different ways that we're helping the larger companies at the moment. Certainly one that's had a large company, 120 million turnover, we have managed to put in a credit insurance policy for a country that the bank wasn't that keen on. Okay. So that enabled them to take out that invoice finance against that particular customer, and that was huge. Sure. So it had a really big impact that actually it facilitated the bank actually being comfortable doing it. So there's lots of ways that we can structure things and see, how we can help the companies going forward. So really then you are looking to, say, stimulate growth, offer support, offer a bit of guidance, use your knowledge and experiences from the territories? Yeah, I mean, I've been in my patch, like most of my equivalents, so export finance managers, there's about 26 of us around the country, and we all look after certain regions. And in my region, I've been in that role for about 11 years now. Okay. But then I came from a banking role as well. Most of us have. So we've got a really good network of people and brokers and second-tier lenders, third-tier lenders, people that we can go to, trade finance experts, to be able to give the company options.
Sure.
If they don't have those options with their mainstream bank, we can find them ways to do it. Because as a government department, our biggest goal is to facilitate exports.
Okay.
They just want to be able to make sure that we've got funding for those exports.
So you may be stepping in where, say, the mainstream traditional funders might have concerns or issues with funding. You can then just help facilitate the actual lend.
It might, it might just be that the company is. So, for example, you talked a little while ago about what level of companies we deal with. So, in my patch in Cambridgeshire, we have a really good relationship with Innovate UK. So Innovate UK, of course, is all going to be kind of a lot of pre-revenue, lots of R&D, the sorts of companies that probably wouldn't be good for traditional bank lending.
Sure.
So when we get inquiries like that, we have a really good network of people that we can refer those people into, because it's a better match than high street banking for them. So that, once they can take some of these bigger contracts on, their buyers can typically be quite good. Mm-hmm. So if they can find a way to maybe selective invoice discounting or something to actually make that contract happen, it can take them from, pre-revenue to 10 million very, very quickly.
Okay. I think one of the interesting thing I'm getting from this today is it's not just a loan, it's not just a bond, it's not just an insurance policy. You will look at a whole suite of products and services which can benefit the client.
Yeah.
So obviously you've mentioned working with brokers. Yeah. How would you work with a broker?
Well, it's quite good working with brokers, because as a government department, we have to be quite impartial. So we can't say, he's my favourite,
sure,
I'm going to give him all the business. So working with brokers means that we can then give that exporter, opportunities that, perhaps an individual partner might not have. Mm-hmm. So a broker can actually look at them and introduce them to quite a variety of ways that they might be able to do that business.
Sure. Okay.
And they certainly know more people, because international trade is quite complex. It's never the same thing. And it's not one size fits all. Mm. And having a broker network is really good, because, they know about lots of things that we might not necessarily know about. And certainly one of the brokers we work with, because obviously it's international trade, they have partners in the US, they have partners in the UAE. So it's like finding distribution networks there and how to finance those. It's just useful having those contacts that have connectivity globally. It's really good.
So yeah, you've already mentioned broker and having the contacts. That is true. Ourselves and MHA, so we're whole market. So we can assist clients with really the majority of product services we're looking for. So I think definitely work well with UK Export Finance. So if we had a client, or if there was a client which wanted assistance with operating internationally, what is the typical process or typical timescales for working with UK Export Finance?
Well, if they wanted to work internationally, so this is where Department of Business and Trade would come in. So what was known as Department of International Trade. They're the guys that would look at opportunities overseas, think about markets that their product might do well in, and help them to identify, distribution links and all that kind of thing. When they come to us, it's that they've got a contract that, right, we've been basically, if we want this contract, this is what we've been asked to do.
Yeah.
And, you could have a letter of credit, you could have a deposit payment at the beginning. I mean, it can be structured in so many different ways that it might just be that talking to somebody at UK Export Finance, a local export finance manager like myself, can help you understand, how the structure of what's been proposed to you, whether or not that's a good structure to get finance against, or whether we need to negotiate it.
Sure.
Because I think we're quite guilty of just accepting what people give us as a UK SME. And I think that, our products are very sought over overseas. So I think we need to probably be a little bit more astute when it comes to understanding what we can do once we win that contract.
Okay.
And the implication of finance costs as well, because, I think that they obviously need to be considered in margin and things like that when agreeing these lovely big deals overseas.
Sure. Okay. So with regards to margins and obviously profitability, you seeing certain pressure points at the moment with clients, or are they being more selective or on what they are actually doing?
I think that from what I've seen, I think the pressure points are coming more with, even trading with the EU and the US, the time to pay is becoming longer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to have a huge impact on general cash flow.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's probably what we're seeing more of, is that the projects are there, the opportunities are there. It's just, how is that going to impact on my day-to-day working capital?
Yeah. So if we're looking at average clients, what kind of support are you able to provide?
Our guarantees and products are massively wide-ranging. And so we go from anything which is a £25,000 small exit builder, which is an export insurance policy,
Sure.
which is a government underwritten policy, all the way up to an export development guarantee, which is normally used to help companies that want to expand production lines, improve their machinery. And obviously this is a great impact on the local economy, because it means they're recruiting people. So we like
Sure.
all those sorts of stories. So with something like that, I suppose a lot of what we've done is within the automotive sector, where we've looked to actually, retain the manufacturing in this country, which is always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to lose it to other parts of the world. And the export development guarantee has been used for that. But more and more now, it can be used for inward investment opportunities as well. So one that's been published recently is a company overseas that wanted to set up here to build the monopiles for wind turbines, which obviously we don't have a massive manufacturing expertise at things like that anyway. So we actually helped them with an export development guarantee to set up in the north of England.
Yeah.
To produce the monopiles. So it actually gives us a little bit more expertise and a little bit more credibility in the renewable sector as well. That's
a great story as well. That's a great story, I think. The fact you've done that, it just shows that there's any other clients in that kind of in that sector want to do this, then there's a success story that it does work and they can get support if they need it. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really relevant to some of the sectors that the government that wants to support. So tech and sectors like that are going to be really important and crucial going forward too. Okay. So anything that we can do around maybe semiconductors and things like that could be quite interesting. Yeah. But there's always the support there from the really, really small credit insurance. I only want 25,000 to actually that much bigger opportunity to really make a difference on the local economy in terms of building and growing those businesses. Sure. Okay, that's great. So if I was a business, I was looking to export, and I wasn't too sure on one, how to do it, or two, if I could do it, what kind of advice and guidance would you be offering? Well, the government the Department of Business and Trade has launched an Export Academy platform, and it's free for anybody to use. It gives lots of information about the territories, what products and services are good for that particular market. Also, we've added quite a lot. We've added some podcasts from people that work in the finance world that are talking about how to handle letters of credit. Sure. Can you discount letters of credit? What are the good mechanisms? What are the safe mechanisms? So all the way from actually identifying opportunity to what to do with it once you've got it to make it safe and secure as possible, then the Export Academy is a great place to start that journey and sort of see what's out there. Okay. And to access that, is it just online? Or? Literally, it's part of the Department of Business and Trade, so people can actually log on to use that service on the government website. Okay, well, that is great. So thanks, Joe, for coming today. I think it's been really insightful. Alone just to see how UK Export Finance can obviously support clients going forward. If you are a client, or if you have a client that you feel may require assistance, please feel free to reach out to your local Export Finance manager from UK Export Finance using the link below, or alternatively, your local MHA Bank and Finance contact.